How do we...
Awesome, thank you.
Olivia, what do you think of this angle?
Great, awesome. Not a bad thing. Okay, I'm ready. Hello, everyone. My name is Seamus Howard. For some reason, I'm also Nana's dad. And I'm looking to be your commissioner of academic affairs. For this past year, I've worked in SUA as a Cal rep, and I've really enjoyed my time. And I think I wrote this next year, or this past year rather, I worked under the current Commissioner of Academic Affairs as an intern, looking at specific policies and trying to gauge how they're doing for students. This past year we rolled out a class survey, and we surveyed that. Hopefully some of you took it. And it targeted various issues. But next year I want to continue this survey and specifically look at waitlisting policy, which is a really big issue in campus. A lot of people, I know a few people who have consistently knocked on classes 2, maybe even 3 quarters in a row. And that's a problem. That's not just like a financial burden. It can push back your graduation date, push back progress in the major, and like it may even make you take another quarter, which is also a giant financial burden. I don't want to do that. That's a really unfortunate circumstance that no one should be in. So I want to talk to administration and try and fix this. Possibly coming up with a point system with people who have been consistently denied access to these key classes to get more points, to get them to save a couple seats in a giant lecture so that they are able to take these classes that they need in order to graduate on time. Secondly, I would say first off, just look around here. Look at the quality of the giant lecture halls on campus, specifically units 1 and 2. The chairs are creaky, like just when I was sitting there, I was turning, I heard a giant creak, and that's so disruptive, that's terrible. The classrooms are too hot, the classrooms are too cold, there's not proper ventilation, there's so many problems. So I really want to talk to administration and see some way to figure this out. Is that 1 minute? That's your time right there. Oh, thank you. Well, thank you, James Howard. Thank you.
Organizing director candidates to come up, please.
You'll be starting.
Oh, Stan?
Yeah, you'll be starting.
All right. Just start now?
2-minute introduction, 1 minute, 4 minute, brief 30 seconds.
All right, perfect. Well, my name is Art Mota. My legal name is Arturo Mota, so most people know me by Art, and I am a candidate, the top candidate, I believe, for organizing director. I currently serve as the Director of National Affairs in the Office of External Affairs. This position, I am a liaison for UC Santa Cruz to coalitions at the state and the national level. Here in this state level, with UCSA, the University of California Student Association, I founded the Chicano Latino Caucus, and also I co-founded a transfer student coalition at the state level. I continually represent students here from Santa Cruz to partner organizations at the state and national level. I am a transfer student. I transferred from Orange County, California, and this is my 2nd year as a Banana Slug, and I love my time here. I don't want to leave. I want to stay here more and represent Banana Slugs as I have these last 2 years. And I am running for organizing director because the current office has not been doing a very good job of representing students. There is so much potential here that SUA has. Last year I was an SUA rep for Porter College. This year I am SUA rep for Mecha. And in the past year I've been heavily involved in SUA and outside of SUA. I was part of Queer Student Union last year and also part of Porter Senate. This year I have been more involved with the Lobby Corps, one of the only committees in SUA that actually has met this year. So we definitely have to make sure that we hold our SUA accountable to individuals that understand SUA and can work to better it. And I'm here with no gimmicks, just the experience that we have as Banana Slugs to represent students.
Hey y'all, my name is Sweeney Torres and I'm running to be your next organizing director. This year I was an appointed Oaks representative as well as the historian for the Student Union Assembly under the Office of the Organizing Director. I feel I've learned the ins and outs of the position relatively well, and I am more than confident that I would do a great job as your next organizing director. My goals for next year include increasing outreach during during summer orientation as well as during welcoming, so that students who are coming in understand the SUA and different ways that they can get involved. I also want to create calendars to get students more involved, to educate them on the events that SUA has sponsored, as well as different issues that are going on external and internally. I also want to make the student life on campus better. I want to try and outreach to more organizations and student clubs and provide resources for them, as well as trying to get a spring festival together, similar to the one that we have during the fall. That way students are able to learn about different events that are going on, since most of our events are during the spring. And that way we are able to promote our events and increase student participation. I also want to try and collaborate with the IBC and the EBC to have more events year-round, and to also increase students going to lobby, and as well as increasing participation in conferences. Lastly, I also want to focus on making SUA and UCSC as a whole more inclusive. So just by educating students on microaggressions, PGPs and things like that, and just providing more resources for students to participate. And so, yeah, my name is Sweeney Torres, and I'm running to be your next organizing director.
For the first question, assuming you get 2 minutes to respond to the answer, or you'll get 3, and assuming you get another minute to respond to his answer.
Campus-wide events are a staple of many campaigns this year, as they have been in the past. What plan to continue to support, and what new ones do you want to implement? How will they improve the campus and UC Center?
Great. So this year, okay. This year, I was one of the main organizers for the Campus Cleanup Day. I'm sure most of y'all have heard, or at least I hope y'all have heard. But we had over, I think it was like 4,000 pounds of trash collected. And
4,000 cigarettes.
huh? Oh, sorry. Whoa. No. Okay. So it was 4,000 cigarette butts, and it was about. It was a lot of trash. Every student collected about 200 pounds. Sorry. Whoa. 2 pounds of trash, and that was definitely like an eye-opener for students to see how much trash is on this campus. And I definitely want to encourage to keep that going. I also want to have more events during the spring and winter quarters. Some events that I want to keep seeing are definitely the Holy Fest. That was a great event. I also want to work with the IBC and the COD on having more cultural events, kind of like a vendor fair for all the orgs, to be able to sell and fundraise for their events, and to also donate the profits to different organizations, to different charities that they please. And yeah, just do that. Have more events. Also do more collaborations with organizations and student clubs to be able to have more students available and aware of different campaigns that UCSC, especially with UCSA and USSA. We did that a lot this year, especially with the with the SAM, Sexual Assault Awareness Month, sorry. And I definitely want to keep that going and increase participation at the events. So, yeah.
The Student Union Assembly has the slogan, student voice, student power, student action. That is the slogan that SUA should exemplify, but we have not seen that this year. With regards to campus-wide events, many aspects in Measure 16 with what SUA is responsible to do. So for the most part, the organizing director will be responsible for creating coalitions with student groups. We have over 150 student groups through SOAR, through student media, and through OPERS. And this year we've seen very limited relationships with student organizations. Even the student organizations that have a vote in SUA have not been contacted by current organizing director. And I want to make sure that that expands and that actually happens. The organizing director is responsible for campaigns here on campus, across the state and across the nation, and we have not seen that this year. So I want to make sure that students have a right to exercise their voice when it comes here on campus. Students really need assistance and help with determining their academic roadmap. We're here, we have to see advisors for our major, advisors for our college, and sign paperwork left and right for classes. When it comes to, when it comes to students here, with regards to being safe on this campus, this year we've worked heavily on ending rape culture and ending sexual assault on this campus. And that's something that I want to continue doing to end. We had a march and a rally. The rally was called Carry That Weight, where we stood in solidarity with survivors and helped lift that burden off of their shoulders. And one other thing is that we need, I'm looking to implement a position called the student advocate, which will be there to help students when they go through that process, that very tedious process of student conduct and the judicial process that we have on this campus. It's very complex and it's very intimidating, whether it's you have a complaint with housing, a complaint with academic integrity, or a complaint with just the judicial process in general. Students don't know where to turn to, and I want to create a position in SUA that can be there, a liaison, and help guide students to find the proper remedy and form of action to help them not only stay on this campus, be able to access the health services, and be able to go to class. I've definitely advocated for access, affordability. 3 minutes?
30 seconds.
Oh, 30 seconds. Access, affordability, diversity, and also the quality of our education here. In the last 10 years, tuition here at the UC has more than tripled. We now pay over $14,000 in tuition and in student fees. 10 years ago, it was under $4,000. And to see that grow tremendously, it's very disheartening. And this year I've been very proactive with the Office of External Affairs to combat that. Even students outside of SUA have taken the initiative.
That's your time, Art.
Yeah.
Great. I really like that idea that you have for the Student Advocate Program, and I would like to see that. I would also like to collaborate with the chair and all the officers, really, just to have more programming and to also to do more outreach and get more students involved. I also would like to have, in the future, have a committee, the Committee of 10, where we'd have students from different colleges and different organizations coming together to fight different issues on hand with administration. And not only that, but just have more town hall meetings with the different colleges, having officers throughout campus so that more students are able to go to you and have more transparency between the assembly and the students. And so I have many ideas for that, and it's not just through outreach, it's also through just being out there for students.
So a closing statement now. Art, let's start with you. You have 1 minute.
For a closing statement.
Closing statement.
All right, we stand up. So, Sweetie's a great person. She's up here because she spent her first year here really involved. And one of the things that she wants to do is to have the organizing director, collaborate with the other officers, something that she's seen that has not happened this year. And I admire that she wants to collaborate with the officers. And, that's something that should be already happening, and it's not happening. And, the officers are being paid $1,000 a month, and we have to hold them accountable for that money, the student fees that are going into that. This past week, in the assembly meeting, SUA members voted to decrease the funding that goes to officers to $900 a month. And with that money, of course, we have to keep the officers accountable, make sure that they're doing work that merits that pay. So that's something that I want to make sure that we keep holding our elected officers accountable for. So, and again, to promote our slogan, student voice, student power, student action.
Okay, so my name's Sweetie Torres again. I just want to thank you all for being here. Closing statement. I just want to be able to increase outreach and just make more students involved, not just through SUA, but through student clubs and organizations, and just providing support for the students, because the students are what make the SUA. And yeah, that's all I have to say.
Please have a seat.
Next, can I have the Commissioner of Diversity candidate come up, please?
statement from you. Sally, if you'd like to start, please stand when you speak.
Yeah, for sure. Sorry. Hi, my name is Sauli Cercorio. I am currently a 4th year from Crown. I am very active in Mecha. I'm a very proud machista, which is one of the big 5 ethnic organizations housed under SOAR. We are actually really across the way from the SUA office. I could go on about my qualifications. I have organized from small to large scale events that help host and encourage about 2,000 students. I'm involved with student organizations. I am very involved with, I work closely with different other different student organizations, with different resource centers, for example, EOP, the Ethnic Resource Centers at Centro. I'm very well connected with these campus units. I'm very knowledgeable about retention and outreach. These things are very important because when 82 African students, or African and Black students, are admitted or enroll in 2013, that means that there is a problem of diversity on this campus. I also want to make sure that the SUA is held accountable for what it's supposed to do, which is advocate for students, and it's supposed to be reflective of the student body on this campus. This includes that it needs to represent student of color issues as long as the general student issues. And that's a little bit about me, and thank you all for listening.
Hi everybody, my name is Ardell and I'm running to be your next Commissioner of Diversity. I'm currently a 2nd year student from Crown College, and I'm majoring in human biology and literature. In my past 2 years, SUA has really greatly defined my time here at UC Santa Cruz. Last year I served as an appointed Crown representative for the SUA, and this year I was able to serve as the elected Crown representative in the SUA. This year I was also given the opportunity to serve Crown on the Student Fee Advisory Committee, and I also had the pleasure of working as the Chief of Staff for the current Commissioner of Diversity. As Chief of Staff of the current Commissioner, I've been given the experience and tools necessary to and programs around our campus to promote diversity. I attended and helped facilitate the UCSC delegation to the Student of Color Conference, and I'm currently working on a queer visibility campaign to promote the visibility of queer students of color on our campus. I'm running for this position because I want to promote an inclusive space in which all students can come together and celebrate their identities, and also educate others about who they are and come together as a whole to combat the issues that we're all facing. As an Uyghur immigrant to I'm very proud of my background. I have become a little bit apathetic to people assuming my identity, and I know that every identity deserves to be seen, so I really want to promote that next year through more culturally educational events, a campus identity conference. I want to promote gender-neutral housing across our campus, not just in 1 or 2 spots. Yeah, thank you.
One question. So you'll start. You have 2 minutes. Sally, you have 3 minutes, and you have 1 minute to respond.
After the controversial events that happened at Prezi earlier this year, how do you plan on making the campus environment more welcoming and safe for LGBTQ students?
So the hate crime that happened at Kresge this year, I feel like it definitely could have been dealt with more immediately, and more immediate action could have been taken. So in the future, if hate crimes do happen, such as this one, I would like to advocate to take immediate action, hold forums at all of the colleges so that students can discuss what happened and how they're feeling about everything that has happened. To make the campus a safer space for not only LGBTIQ students, but all students as well, we actually have a report the hate program here on campus, but a lot of students don't know about it because when it goes directly to the university and it doesn't get dealt with in time, or it just doesn't get dealt with at all because not enough people are aware of the hate crimes that have happened. So in order to combat that, I want to try to review the program and change it so that when a hate crime is reported, it goes not only to the university, but to the individual college CAOs, so that more people are aware of what's happening and students can be helped in a more efficient and timely manner.
Well, first of all, I would definitely agree with the fact that this recent and most microaggressions and hate bias crimes that happen on this campus don't go acknowledged. They are not adequately addressed by the university, by administration, and I believe that one of the steps we need to do is hold administration accountable. One of the ways that I wish to do this by is by having town hall meetings with administration. I believe that by doing this, you're not only able to provide a space for students to voice their opinions and voice their emotions and voice how they feel on a daily basis on this campus, but you're also able to hold the university accountable for the way that they address these issues. Also, another way that I would like to address and promote and educate students about microaggressions, about hate and bias crimes is by holding workshops, by having workshops on microaggressions, working with the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Office, by working closely with different campus units, like the Cantu Queer Center, the Ethnic Resource Centers, and all these other resource centers that have been constantly working on these issues, and to be able to work with them and build that coalition and to have that really strong network and support. I would also like to reform the way that these crimes are being reported, because I feel I've gotten a lot of feedback by students that they often do not feel safe in the way that they report them, and they often don't feel supported after they submit a hate or bias crime. I believe that this is very key, because if there aren't these spaces where students feel comfortable voicing their experiences on this campus, then most students are not going to be able to deal and be themselves in a university that is supposed to be inclusive to them and to their student issues. I also believe that it's very important for the SUA to be transparent, to voice when these issues are happening, to hold the administration accountable. That's what the SUA is here for. And that is what I think, and thank you for listening.
Yeah, so I don't think that administration needs to be held accountable when hate crimes such as these do happen. And it's really unfortunate because the administration has voiced concerns such as the report the hate. They have voiced concerns in how it's not efficient and it's not effective. But we really need to be there as students working side by side with the administration to make sure that do get made. And in terms of administration, staff, and faculty, I believe that they all need to undergo some sort of identity competency training that's mandatory, so that our staff and faculty understand and know how to deal with issues when these issues do arise, if a student comes to them for help, and where they can go and how they can help the student.
Are you going to have 1 minute for a closing statement? Sally, let's start.
Well, first of all, thank y'all for coming out and really being interested in hearing what we all have to say. Speaking on behalf of my own experiences myself, I'm very passionate. I've been doing this work on retention and outreach, and that can be a topic that's very controversial, quote unquote. It's very general, but this university doesn't do a very good job in retaining its students and retaining them culturally, socially, and academically. And I believe that we as students need to work with each other and be able to mentor each other and work with each other alongside, side by side, to be able to help each other out. And I would really like to be Commissioner of Diversity because I have the experience and I have the passion to make these issues happen.
Thank you all so much for coming out to speaking from my personal experience, I do not fit into any of, I guess I don't identify with any of the orgs here on campus that I've been able to find, and I really want to not only help the orgs that do exist on campus and work together on our issues, but also really promote the visibility of the students who are not being seen on this campus. I truly believe that I'm very qualified to be the next Commissioner of Diversity, and my name is Ike Zardil, and please vote. Yeah, thanks.
Thank you. Thank you. Next, can I have the EBC candidates come up?
We each have 2 minutes for an opening statement. Guillermo, we'll start with you. Please stand when you finish your statement.
All right, hi everyone, how y'all doing? Great. Good. So my name is Guillermo Rogel. I'm running to be the next external vice chair for the Student Union Assembly. So for those of you who don't know what the office generally does, it handles relations with City Council, Sacramento, UC Office of the President, our Congress members, and just make sure that any policy that they're making in those spaces, anything that impacts our institution of higher education, is actually beneficial to students and isn't anything that imposes more fines on us, isn't anything that increases fees, isn't anything that takes away from the quality of our education, the accessibility of our education. That goes all along from admissions to budget, and that starts in K through 12. So these are issues that really impact students, and the more you know about those policies, I think the more you know what this higher institution needs. And that's something that I've been working on for the past 2.5 years. I first joined this office my freshman year in spring quarter, where I went to the board meeting at Oakland. And from there I saw a bunch of different students who were advocating on behalf of students up and down the state, from San Diego, from Berkeley. So it's work that I'm really familiar with. And it's work that I want to continue doing. This year, I worked very closely with the Sexual Assault Vaccine Education Center for the Sexual Assault Awareness Month. It's something that I fundraise for, something that I event plan for, something that I flyer for, and it's something that it took me a lot of time to actually gather a sense of what it means to be an advocate and an ally of that space, and it's something that I'm still learning to this day. Also working really closely with prison abolition groups here on campus. We actually just had an event on Saturday with Sin Barras and Barras Sobrinos to talk about local prison expansion in Santa Cruz. The fight for tuition, I could go on and on about that. I've been there since the last 1.5 years. When we knew the plan was going to get proposed, we were already planning what we were going to how we were going to retaliate. I was there on the marches on campus, the occupation of Kerr Hall. I've been there to the Regents meeting. I've been there in Oakland. I've been there outside of the governor's office. And it's work that you can't just step into and say, this is what I'm going to work on. It's stuff that you have to say you've been working on. So I really encourage you all to support me in these elections. Voting starts tomorrow.
All right, I'm up. So hi everybody, my name is Travis Moget, and obviously I'm running for the office of External Vice Chair. A little bit about myself. So I came to this campus as an out-of-state student, and since then I've already rechanged the Greek organization that I am vice president of. I'm gonna keep looking down. I'm not like everybody else. I gotta take notes. Changed the organization I'm already vice president of. I made myself available for students more times than I can count as a Crown resident advisor, and I personally raised over $15,000 on my own in external support with Supervisor for University Relations. Yet my greatest qualification is the fact that I am not satisfied with the Student Union Assembly, which is why I am running. It shouldn't be so difficult for students to have a voice. It shouldn't be so difficult the fact that I have to run in order to stand up and make a difference. We need to be actively working on issues that actually make a difference to students. We need to open up the SUA space to student organizations, including those in Greek life, because their voices matter too. We need to utilize the lobby corps that we already possess, and we need to bring together all the other UC external chairs to finally get the Prop 13 reform, which both go to making education more affordable. We need to address the housing crisis by supporting AB 1228 and figure out secondary options with administration. We need to diversify education, supporting the other organizations that go out and bring minority and underprivileged youth. And we need to have a conversation about international students and their aid. We need to ensure the safety on our campus with simple lighting on pathways. And we need to have extensive talks about Title IX education at our summer orientation, telling students that we do not condone sexual assault or harassment, not even once. We need these things, and you need to vote for me for EBC.
So we have 2 questions for you gentlemen. Moderator Witham, Travis, you go first. You have 2 minutes to respond to the question. Guillermo, you have 3 minutes. Travis, you have 1 minute to respond to that.
First question, how do you intend to represent the entire SUA body to UCSA and USSA? Do you think UCSC should play an important role at the conference they organize and others?
You ready, Travis?
Like I was telling everybody, I take notes on everything. Okay. So first of all, it's a great question. Thank you on that. We need to, I keep saying we need because of things that need to be done. With UCSA right now, our vote is not that big. For UC Santa Cruz, we are allowed to bring about 24 people to make a statement, to where UCLA and Berkeley bring hundreds. That's not okay. So we need to get more people out there, make a statement, make a difference, and need someone that's going to have a voice and going to be working on the issues that we have. We need people that are going to be up there and to be speaking on the issues that students are passionate about, give them guidance, give them the resources that they need. That way everyone is having their voice being spoken for, and we are actually making the impact the students want to see. I'll leave it right there. Thank you.
Sorry. How do you intend to represent the entire SUA body to UCSA and USSA? Do you think UCSC should play an important role at the conference they
So I don't think anyone can properly represent 15,000 students at that student body organization. It's something that you just have to do your best at, and investing in the community here to know that you can properly represent them there. And that's something that I've been doing for the past 1.5 years. I sit on board right now as a campus organizing director for the Office of External Affairs. And from what I've learned there is that the fight for accessibility, affordability, and quality is on multiple fronts. There's campus organizing that you have to do here on campus. There's legislative advocacy that you have to do. We do it through lobby corps, as Travis mentioned here, something that I've been an active member of. I've been to Campbell, I've been to San Jose, I've been to a lot of different lobby visits since my time here, lobby Congress members. And with USSA, that's a lot harder of an issue to tackle, because as much as students want to care about issues that impact them here at the state, it's a lot harder to make them care or even know about issues that impact them at the national level. But USSA, we have a liaison. I've been working very closely with Art, who's our National Affairs Director, to make sure that any information that is happening in Congress gets back to us. For right now, they're proposing billions and millions of cuts to financial aid, and that's something that students don't really know. And we're actually holding an action on Wednesday about this. On the point that we don't take enough students to these conferences, that goes onto the budget. We pay $7 a quarter as students, where other UCs pay $30 a quarter. So that means they get hundreds of thousands of dollars more in funding. I would love to take more students to conferences, but we just don't have the money for it. So this is work that I know that I've been doing, not something that I have to really brush up on. It's something that I'm just going to continue doing. And if I win this election, there's nothing that I have to transition into, because this is work that I know how to do, work that I know that I'm good at, and the work that I know that a lot of you know that I'm good at, and a lot of you support me and have been next to me in actions in San Francisco, in Sacramento, here on campus, in the marches and like different rallies that we've had here. And I don't think that's something that I need. Thank you.
All right, 1 minute? Yes. Perfect. Yeah, so Guillermo's right. It is hard to go and represent all those students. But if we are able to get off of our SUA high horse and get down onto students' level and actually communicate with them, you're going to be able to see that what the students want, it's going to go across the campus. What the students want is something that is universal, and you're going to be able to speak that and speak on their behalf. If you're going to be going and you're going to be pushing all these experiences that you have, I would like to say one thing, that SUA has time and time again made it an open space where they have given people the opportunity to thrive, and they have seen those people thrive. So to my naysayers, I just want to bring up one question. Why is it that you are so scared to let someone else, the average student, into a student government position? What is it that you are trying to prevent? Thank you.
The second question, Remo, we'll start with you.
At UCSC, incoming freshmen are the highest risk for sexual assault the 21st day of school and Thanksgiving break. As the EPC, how do you implement outreach for this issue?
Yes.
2 minutes? Yeah. So this is an issue I've been working on since last fall, so not this incoming fall, but last fall. And it started with SB 967, which was the first affirmative consent bill in California, and that's something that we helped push through the legislature, and it actually passed. And that's something that we've seen, that we want to see reflected throughout the nation. But here on campus, you can do a lot of advocacy in Sacramento, you can do a lot of advocacy at the UC Office of the President, but it doesn't really matter if you're not getting that message out here to students. So when this campaign, when You Consent, which was a campaign against sexual assault and sexual violence, first came up, I honestly didn't know what to do, because I was all like, this is a space that I haven't been a part of. This is a space that I don't feel adequately geared to represent. So I went to the Sexual Assault Facts and Education Office and talked to their CUIP intern. And we were just trying to talk about different ways how we can get the message out about affirmative consent and about reporting sexual violence to students here on campus. So as I said, I helped organize the April Sexual Assault Awareness Month. Right now we're working on the Safe Select video series. So a lot of you attended mandatory trainings at the beginning of the year geared toward these kinds of rules and these kinds of guidelines that every student needs to follow. And yes, freshmen are at risk. And that's because college is such a new experience for them. And so we want to make sure that the videos that we produce, the trainings that we have, are led by students and taught by students, because that's who you feel more comfortable reaching out to, is students who identify as yourself. This issue really is something that has grown on me tremendously, and something that, like, the people that I've been working with devoted to this issue. It's inspired me to continue working on this even after I graduate, and something that I'm going to continue working on next year. And I know I'm going to be a part of SAFE. I know I'm going to help shop with these events. And so, yeah, thank you.
Okay. So first of all, I know that my opponent Guillermo has been working really hard on this issue. And he's making strides, so I congratulate you on doing all that. That is phenomenal, and that's something that, if I'm given the opportunity, I want to go on and build off of. Starting with the Title IX education, which is one of my first platforms. With the Title IX education, I want to sit down with Rosa Plaza, UC, PD, and the Title IX officers to start implementing this Title IX education into the summer orientation sessions. It would be a lot like alcohol EDU, to where we're starting to instill it within students' minds, saying that our school does not condone any of these actions, and it's not okay, not even once. And so if we start pushing it from the get-go, we're going to see numbers starting to drop, and I am a firm believer of that. As well as the other safety aspects of the school, there are other things that we can really push, and there's a lot of things, a lot of the other platforms which I'm going to support, such as the lighting on pathways, cameras in the parking lots. I know last quarter we saw a lot of theft and whatnot going on. These are all things that are going to help through the same process of safety, and those are just the processes that should have been done a long time ago, but someone needs to do them. Thank you.
Need to respond, Remo?
Is it a closing statement or?
No, the response.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah. So the summer orientation training is something that is actually happening right now. The same way that students are going to be trained on Alcohol EDU, SAFE is actually implementing the same thing, but except it's going to be more geared towards sexual violence. And so that's something that I was at a bar downtown filming today with a lot of different members from SAFE, playing out different scenarios of what students might encounter if they go off campus, if they go to a party off campus. So this is something that will be implemented in the summer, and something that I'm really looking forward to. Security is one aspect of sexual violence, and I think it's an aspect that really shouldn't really be as prioritized as the culture of rape. The culture of rape is something that needs to be taken down, and that's something that needs to be taken down with everyone in this room, and that's something that I've been working on for the past year and a half. And so I hope that as much as we want to implement these security measures, we also want to go talk to the students and not say, don't go out and put yourself in these kinds of situations. It's just don't rape. That's the message we have to send.
First of all, I just want to say thank you for everybody that's coming out here. I'm sure you're going to keep hearing thank you from everybody. It's great that everyone is out here supporting SUA. It's something I would like to see more students getting a part of because it is important. I'll keep mine short and sweet. A really smart man that I know once told me that you don't have to be SUA bred in order to make a difference. And I'm a firm believer of that. And I believe that the SUA space, like I said before, has seen people come in and given the opportunities to thrive. I also heard the fact that if you can't outsmart them, outwork them. And that's something every single day. I outwork people. I put in my time, put in my effort, and I make a difference. So thank you guys.
Thank you, Travis. So hard work is honestly, it's hard. It's something that I've been doing here since my freshman year. When I first joined Stevenson Student Council my freshman year, I became chair my freshman year, and then I really learned of what it really means to run a space. And now that I'm chair again this year, the membership has actually tripled. Now we have about 36 voting members when we used to only have 12. I've sat on the committee on planning and budget here at this school, which facilitates the planning and budget for ours campus of $640 million. I'm also the undergrad rep for the UC Office of the President Planning and Budget Committee, which meets once every month once in Oakland, and they deal with the $24 billion budget. So these are things that you can't, again, I say, as much as it's not really the average student, it's just that a student who has dedicated their time and has shown results is someone who deserves to be elected. And so I really hope that you all support me tomorrow. And this really shouldn't be the end of your investment in SUA. As much as I want to thank you all for coming out today, you also have campaigns as much as you can. Yeah.
IBC come up, please.
Welcome, guys. We've got time for 2 opening statements, 2 minutes each. Jabari is first. Statement? Yeah.
Hello all, my name is Jabari Brown. I am running for the internal vice chair. As internal vice chair, I will be, my responsibilities will be to support student life and provide programs, programming, coordinating campaigns, and promoting the physical as well as emotional well-being and fostering intellectual and personal development for all UCSC students. I will also be working closely with the Students Committee on committee, making sure that student voice is getting heard and making sure that we're bringing student voice into the SUA space and bringing student voice into the administration space. I will also be working close with the SCLC, working on like financial aid issues, working on library issues, issues that impact students heavily, and what we as students demand from our school to help us succeed in our 4 or 5 years here at this university. I currently my time here, I worked as an RA for College 9. I worked also as the office manager for Engaging Education. I also coordinated an outreach program called Destination Higher Education that's housed under the African Black Student Alliance. I'm also a part of the Filipino Student Association, and I'm also a part of the Latino Chicano Student Association on campus. I'm heavily involved in student organizing groups on campus and listening to what students have to offer, listening to what students are doing on this campus, and seeing that administration is not doing the same quality work as students. Being a student, it's really important that we are upholding each other, making sure that we are graduating on time, making sure that we're succeeding in college. It's not our responsibility to do that, but it has been the responsibility of the students to take that on.
Hello everybody, my name is Manik Sachdeva and I'd like to become your next internal vice chair. In the past 4 years, I've worked in the Indian Student Association as a member, as a dancer for 3 years, and 2 years as an executive committee officer. I was part of the team that brought the Holy Festival together last year, invited 1,400 people to attend it. This year I was primary student organizer for the Holy Festival, and we had about 4,000 people that attended. Currently I'm employed by UCSC ResNet, and I also was a research assistant in the biology department for 1.5 years. In my past 4 years, I've had a great time getting to know a lot of people on this campus. By a lot, I mean a lot of people. There are a lot of friends I have, and I really want to focus on improving their life on campus. I will start that by extending dining hall hours in Crown, Merrill, Kresge, Porter, and Stevenson, Cal, because accessibility is an issue for everybody. Not only will that increase accessibility, but I feel like that will increase job opportunities for the students at Eagle. I also want to unite every single student on this campus. That's 16,000 plus that we have, and the most we've ever seen is usually, this year was Holy Festival, but I want to focus on that, bringing something like Oprah Fall Festival for organizations. They can come together, act as vendors, raise money for a cause they believe in, and something they're passionate about. I will also work to initiate advertising outside of loop buses to promote decrease in the deficit the TAPS budget has, and the decreasing and go against the proposed hikes for parking fees that we have. I will also work on creating a platform, a ride-sharing platform for students on campus that can go to Safeway and Costco so they can regularly be used, and we don't have to get another bus out there. It'll be free for students. It's like ZimRide. I also want to work with SCOC to make sure every voice is heard. SCOC Student Committee on Committees, and that handles appoints 42 committees on campus that get everybody's voice heard. And I really want to focus and make sure every person, every student, and every organization is involved in appointing these students. Thank you very much. Yeah.
We have 2 questions for you gentlemen. Monica will start with 2 minutes to answer. Jabari will respond in 3 minutes, and you have one more chance to respond in 1 minute.
First question. Do you think UCSC has the potential to host more large-scale events with restricted venues like the Giles Strike and East Field and closed amphitheater? And if so, what events would you like? What would you want to put on?
Thank you for the question. That's something I really want to focus on, unifying the campus, promoting diversity, and increasing student involvement. We had events of Eden, but then Oprah's Fall Fest, Oprah's happened, and there was a drought, there was concern, and then money issues, but I really want to bring everything back. I want to bring back larger festivals, and I want to do that by possibly fundraising largely through communities, and the events I want to focus on, losing my thought here. Can you repeat the question? Sorry.
The whole question?
Yeah, just
Okay.
part of the question, yeah.
Do you think UCSC has the potential to host?
Oh, definitely. Sorry.
Oh.
I'm sorry. Every college has the possibility to get everybody together. Oprah's Fall Festival happened. It was short, but something happened, right? Amphitheaters being rebuilt. I was actually part of the promotional video that had, for money raising for the $7 million to $9 million, renovation that we need. It is possible to get every student on campus together, and that involves students pushing the faculty, students working with the faculty, the Dean of Students Office, EVC Galloway, to make sure these events happen, and I will guarantee you I put blood and sweat on this, I'll make this happen next year.
Do you think UCSC has the potential to host more large-scale events with restricted venues like the Giles Strike and East Field and closed amphitheater? And if so, what events would you want to put on?
Sure. I do believe that it is possible to, for UCSC to put on more events. It's all about managing the budget and how we properly use the budget to our advantage. We do have spaces such as OPERS, we do have spaces such as the Quarry that can be utilized, and just having good connects with different spaces on campus, with different venues on campus, and being able to bring students together. Although there are some big areas on campus that are not being utilized, there are other areas on campus that can be utilized to the full extent. Just in contact with, getting in connect with other students, getting in connect with administration, and making sure that we collaborate on different activities and different issues so we can all come together and be able to host these events. I most definitely, again, the budget is a big issue. One thing that I think that is big is assessing the budget, assessing what it is that students need. I think it's useless to put on events if you're not assessing what the students need. If you're putting on events just as like a concert and students don't want a concert, it really doesn't make sense. So just going into the communities, asking students what they want. Like I said, I'm involved in a lot of communities. I have been getting to know a lot of different communities on campus and just finding out exactly what it is they want from the SUA government, and also bringing that SUA government back to the students and not just them implementing their own way. Yeah. Thank you.
I would like to add on something. I know Jabari said that many students don't want a concert, but I feel like they do want a concert. How many of you guys want a concert on this campus? This is a small sample size, and this is not for you, I promise. He's a really good friend of mine. We've been going for the past 4 years. It's something that I've really heard that people want. I want to have 2 concerts next year. That may be information you don't know about, maybe information you know about. We're going to make it happen. We're going to do fundraisers all through our campuses and everything. And in terms of spaces, we have the space. Opers is ready to go this year. Amphitheater is going to be ready to go in 3 years. And we also have an Oaks Lower lawn that's a beautiful lawn that we don't really get to touch. But we might want to go there and check something out for our festival. Thank you, guys.
Second question for you guys. Barry, let's start.
Student apathy is a major roadblock for student government at UCSC. How do you plan to engage more students on campus?
Again, it just goes back to outreaching to those communities, actually going to different community spaces, knowing what they do and knowing what they need. If you don't go out and outreach to students, there's no way you can actually know what students need. Like I said, I'm involved with different programs. I also plan to attend other student organizations. I know that would be like a heavy burden on myself, but I believe it's worth it to go out and see what students need. And also just getting to know communities, getting to know people. It's fun, you get to meet a large variety of people, improve diversity on campus. I also plan to utilize many different resources such as Friends, different social media programs to help outreach and advertise for these different programs that SUA could possibly put on. Yeah, that's it.
I'd like to add on to that. Outreach is such a great issue that we have on campus. I don't know if everybody knows, 25 to 30% of students vote in student elections, and we have about 100%. That's the math, 70% less that we don't have. Every student represents about 3 other students on campus, and that's an outreach issue. That's something I want to tackle. That's something I've been tackling. I've been advocating to vote, and that's what voices get heard. Student committee on committees is also another way under my office that I want everybody to vote. Everybody to be a part of and represent the other 42 committees on campus that we have that tackle issues for outreaching. I would also have a larger social media presence, working with an organizing director, working with other people. I would also create a platform just for outreaching that would work with the external vice chair. That would implement daily testimonials of students' lives that would focus such as tuition hikes that are bothering them. We want to get this stuff, and this is started by some Brown. Things like that we want UC Santa Cruz to implement so we can focus and get those things out to UC Regents, Janet, Governor Brown, and the administration on campus. Everything outreaching, voicing opinions, that's all done, I feel, as hand in hand. They go hand in hand. Somebody here has to sit down with somebody there, and I'm not saying this is up here. That's the whole thing I want to realize. I didn't know much about SUA my past 4 years. I started really knowing about it last year and this year, and that's why I feel like if I have the opportunity to get up on, to the SUA government, I feel like every student should get involved in all these committees on campus, and I want to work something with committees on committees. I want to go back to that again because past weekend, Casey Wheeler, the current internal vice chair, hosted something and the representatives in College 910 on student committee on committees hosted a festival, a casino night, and something similar with that, but not necessarily sister colleges. We want to focus on colleges that are on the other ends. I want to, Oaks and Stevenson, the colleges that really don't work together, we want to work them together and make sure students' voices and representations of the issues on different colleges they have come together with that. Thank you.
Again, Amanda did make some good points. Having the Students Committee on Committee come together and one another, making sure that things are being provided under that space. Also, just making sure that we are collaborating with the campus as a whole, collaborating with administration as well. Collaboration is key in order to get things done, because through collaboration, it means that you're involved with the process from the very beginning, that students are involved with how it's going to look, how it's set up, what time it starts, who can come, who can attend, and just being able to provide activities and resources for all students on a wider scale.
We each have time for a closing statement. Mona, you want to start?
I'm going to keep it real short. Thank you, everyone. As everybody said, everybody's going to be hearing thank yous. I really appreciate the time you have invested, not only here, but the opportunity for advocating voting itself. I did not know about these measures up until last year, that only 25%, 30% vote, and that's why things on the referendum don't get passed, because we don't have enough voter turnout. Vote for whoever you like, vote for the candidate you think is best, but definitely vote, and that's all I want to say. Thank you.
Again, to reiterate what Manny says, not a lot of students do vote on campus elections, so I would really encourage you as students to vote on whoever you feel is the best candidate. Student issues are a big deal on campus. Student life is a big deal on campus. So you want to get somebody in a position that will advocate for you as a student, making sure that that your voice is getting heard in some way, shape, or form. Again, I cannot represent 15,000 students, but I will do my best to represent what input has been given to me from students, to administration, through the SCLC committees, etc.
Warriors, I love them. But I love myself too. So.
You can take a 10-minute break so you can stretch.
Anyone join me up here? I call this
We will be back in 10 minutes.
The question for me. Oh, my God. You need to grab it from the side. My voice is getting dry over there. I actually have a notebook. Would you like to use my notebook? No, it's okay. I was out all day, so I'm not stealing snacks. It's okay. actually even go out and sport art, film, like come on. Right? Like we're always at the bottom of the culture. Yeah. Like why would you want to follow that?
Gotta share Luke's video around everywhere. I don't know. I want to watch it right now, actually.
No, I'm fine. I got one left, so.
It's like there's still plenty of food.
Yeah, tell the commissioners that they'll be using that for the Everybody else Can everyone please take a seat?
Watch
How do you still not know? It's pretty basic. That picture's next to that page.
Oh, really? That's nice.
Maybe not. Three people running out of this?
Yeah. We're gonna take a break. We have time for 2-minute introductions. From each of you, Brad, who are you going first? Are you ready?
Good evening, everyone. My name is Brad Malenik, and I'm running to be your next SUA chair. I'm a fourth-year human biology major affiliated with Crown College. Over the past 4 years, I've done quite a bit on this campus. I've been a representative, been a part of the SUA for 3 years. I've been a tour guide, a research assistant, the Crown Student Senate Chair, a Crown RA this year, and currently your SUA Organizing Director. I've heard a lot of criticisms about my office and what work we have done this year. And I want to show to everyone, not just in this room, but at our university, that I've taken those criticisms and I've learned how to grow as a leader on this campus. And not just that, but to be the chair and the spokesperson of the UC Santa Cruz undergraduate student body. Over this past year, I've worked with students on fighting tuition increases. I've worked on coalition building with the Zero Waste team and hosting the campus cleanup day, in which we picked over around 300 pounds of trash and up to 4,000 cigarette butts. An issue that I'm taking back to administration in the coming month to really tackle that issue further throughout next year. Next year, what I want to do though, I want to bring a health and wellness campaign to this university. Some services to actually get SUA's name out there. How about bringing the Slug Shuttle back to take students straight from campus to San Jose International Airport? How about opening up the libraries 24 hours, something that every university should have? How about creating a bike, or funding the bike shuttle, so students that are actually being responsible and taking sustainable transportation to campus don't have to pay $40 a quarter out of their pocket. Thank you, Brad. Thank you so much.
Hi everyone, my name is Julie Rachel Foster and I'm also running the next SUA chair. Over the last few years, I've been really involved with this campus through a lot of different student organizations. I've been involved with the Student Environmental Center, which is an entirely student-run, student-funded organization that works for environmental issues on campus. I've also been a facilitator for Education for Sustainable Living program. ESLP is this really great program that allows peer-to-peer education, and I have developed and facilitated my own 5-unit course. Through that, I've gained a lot of experience with microaggressions, facilitation, and moving a meeting along while still making sure that everyone is equally heard. I'm also the UCSC representative for the California Student Sustainability Coalition, which is a statewide coalition. which is super great because we've been advocating for environmental and social justice issues. And we've also been networking through the entire UC, CSU, and community college system. So all that experience has come from my sustainability experience, which has given me a lot of leadership skills. And I've also had a lot of work with TAPS. I'm currently the bike library coordinator, and I have written a grant and received money to expand the fleet so that our students could access more bikes. And I've also worked a lot with the Transportation Advisory Committee as the Student Committee on Committee representative. And through that, I've gained a lot of critiques about the budget for TAPS and how to make sure that's effectively working for students. So overall, with my experience, I'd love to come into the SUA chair position because I've developed a critique of SUA that gives me a different kind of view because I've seen how it hasn't been effectively working for students. And I'm willing to come into that space and advocate for change, and I'm willing to make sure that all students are fairly represented because Student Union Assembly is supposed to represent all voices, but it's such an exclusive group right now that not all voices are being heard.
Hey everybody, my name is Shabakar Sharan. Most of you know me as Shub, and I'm running to be the next SUA chair. I'm currently the president of College 9 Senate, and I've been a representative to the SUA for the last 2 years. And my mission right now to be chair is the same mission that I entered the SUA with in the first place, is to restore its relevancy to the student body. I go to those meetings every week, and I'm disappointed in the limited interaction that our own student basically limited to people in the room and their immediate friend circle. And that's honestly disappointing. We've seen over the last couple of years a failure on our own student government's part to reach out and drum up support from our own actual students. I go around and I ask students, how many of you know that the SUA handles between $300,000 and $400,000 of your own student money? Out of all the visits I've been on, maybe a handful of people even know that fact. And it's honestly disappointing. It impacts our own ability as a student government to be successful in carrying out our campaigns on the behalf of our own students if we don't even know what our students want us to do. We don't know what they want their own money to go towards. Now, my goal as chair is to bridge that gap and reconnect with our own student body. I recently led the team, along with Brad, that launched the Student Government Survey. We received over 1,000 really valuable responses, and that's just one step in moving forward and bridging this gap once more. I want to have more things like town hall meetings in every month in each college, so people can come out, have a couple snacks, talk to the representatives. In addition to bridging these gaps, I want to restore people's faith in their own student government by tackling the issues that students actually want us to tackle. I'm talking about stuff like fixing our issues with campus safety. I'm already talking to the city about procuring city funding for expanding our lighting on campus. I'm going to work towards creating a 2-unit peer escort service that people can call upon instead of going directly to police or CSOs. I want to focus on having... I'm sick. Thank you.
So for the first question, Shep, you have 2 minutes to start us off. Rachel and Brad, you'll have 3 minutes following that. Shep, you'll have 1 minute to respond after that. So, question?
First question. With the increased cost of tuition and decrease in number of services provided on campus, how do you plan to improve the overall student experience with student activities at our institution?
So, I don't think there's a single person in this room who hasn't felt the budget crunch over the last couple of years. When the tuition hike initially, that very day, I wasn't planning on attending the Students of Color Conference. I had some other work to attend to, but as soon as I heard that the tuition hikes were rolling around, I canceled my plans, and I drove all the way to Merced in my own car to attend that meeting because I wanted to be a part of the discussions and the deliberations on what we're going to do as a UC system to combat this issue that's facing all of us. Now, this brings us to a catch-22 situation, in that we need to offer more support and services to our students now that we can't spend the money on them. But those very services and supports cost money in the first place. And now what we really need to talk about is, are we going to be a student government that just relies on our funding and our ability to fund other groups to just throw money at problems and solve it? Or are we going to actually work hand in hand with our own student groups that have different issues and try to understand what's going on in these individual groups and communities? Everybody has a different set of problems with their own groups. We have to understand what's going on, how can we, as a resource, help you change whatever problems you're facing. This doesn't have to be just funding. The SUA has a direct line of communication with administration. We meet regularly with them. It's stuff like advocating on behalf of different student needs when we're discussing things with administration, using our direct line in terms of talking to maybe securing venues, procuring funding from other groups, advocating on behalf of their issues when it comes to presenting stuff before the state student associations and national student associations. These are all other ways that we have to get creative. We have to really think, how can we show support for our student groups when we don't necessarily have the funding that other universities do to support them that way. Thank you.
Oh, yeah. With the increased cost of tuition and decrease in number of services provided on campus, how do you plan to improve the overall student experience with student activities at our institution?
I think that there's a major issue right now with tuition increase and the fact that students built up this momentum to fight the tuition increases and then we just stopped. And there are still advocates. Guillermo, for example, has been fighting hard with tuition. The entire EVC office has been fighting really hard, but we need to reconnect that with the entire student body. Because tuition is something that needs to be lowered because we're not getting what we should be getting out of our funding. And I think what this really comes down to is an issue with administration. We have had such a sharp increase in administration on this campus, and although we should work with them, we also need to pressure them and force them to be accountable and be transparent with where our money is going. So one thing that I'd really love to do is work with students, because administration, they sit in their office all day. They don't always come out and talk to students. And as officers, we are supposed to be going into that space and giving them what the students want. And we need to work on redistributing all the funds, because this really is a major issue of LSS is being cut, athletics is being cut, everything is being cut, and our student life is just decreasing because we don't have the resources anymore. But the major issue here is that transparency hasn't been happening with the administration. We have no idea where our tuition dollars are even going anymore. So yeah, basically I just really want to work with administration to make sure that transparency is promoted so that we can actually see where the services are being cut and why they're being cut.
Brad, you have 3 minutes.
Yes, please. Okay. With the increased cost of tuition and decrease in number of services provided on campus, how do you plan to improve the overall student experience with student activities at our institution?
So, like I said, I've been here for 4 years. I've been part of the SUA for 3. I have a lot of experiences, whether it's just talking to students or experiencing myself on the different issues that we as students face on this campus. Tuition increase is scary. For some students, that means having to drop out of college and go to work and raise enough money so that they can come back later. Even with the student fees on the referenda, they're great fees, but it's really hard for students to even just vote yes to actually take them out of school. I want to change how the SUA approaches just all these different issues. I want to create a space so that SUA can actually be with students that aren't a part of the SUA and start working on the issues that we face. One of my ideas, and Sweeney actually touched on this a little bit earlier, was creating this thing called the Committee of 12. It was a committee that was originated in Crown back in the 80s, and it was this program that would just have student leaders sit in a room and allow students to come into the space and talk to those leaders about the issues that were affecting them at Crown College specifically. Those students would then go to administration and address those issues as fast as they could. That's something that the SUA can easily do. We have that direct access to administration. We are supposed to be the bridge for students to administration. So I want to create this space for the entire campus, not just one college. I want to get all the student leaders in this committee, and so that we can hear the different issues that aren't just affecting our own, SUA or whatever, but all the different communities that actually represent UCSC. I want to go take that committee and go to the right administrators. That's one of the problems, is sometimes we go to administrators that don't really have a say in some things. Yeah, we can get a meeting with EDC Galloway, but Sarah Latham handles TAPS and handles dining and handles all these other issues. And it's that knowledge that I have that makes me that would make me an effective chair. I know the administrators on this campus. I know where we can go. Other things that I want to work on, student action line item this year was created, $3,000 in the SUA budget. And we saw that go into effect in different rallies and different protests on this campus. For people that said that I didn't do my duties, I was the biggest supporter of that line item. I was in my office day in and day out, making sure that the students that wanted to organize an action could get their resources there too. Not taking a week to respond. Literally the second they texted me, I ran to the office, put in the purchase order, and made sure that they could get the items that they needed to organize and be effective on our campus. I have been the biggest resource, I honestly think, for students in the Student Union Assembly. It's all behind scenes. It's a lot of things that you all don't get to see, and it's unfortunate that you don't get to see it. But as chair, I'm going to make sure that you see all that action happen. Thank you.
So, I was talking on the small scale right now about how we can impact change in our own community. I want to take a step back a little bit and address the issue that's facing our entire UC system overall. Don't let anybody tell you that the UC doesn't have enough money for us. That's a lie. I poured through the expense reports. The UC generated over $5 billion in profits from their private asset fund last year alone. That money's definitely not going to us. I'm not seeing it. That problem impacts us not just at the UC level, but at our own campus level. We know administration has the money to spend thousands every year on alumni weekend, yet they don't have the same money to fix the seats in this very lecture hall. It's an issue of priorities, and that's where the SUA comes in for being a union for the students to advocate on behalf of them, so that administration can't just put us on the back burner as long as they want. They're forced to address our issues as they come up.
Question, Julie, let's start. 2 minutes.
Accessibility has been an issue with the SUA. How to plan to make students more aware and involved in actions of their student government?
Yeah, so I think accessibility and transparency is a major issue with SUA right now because most students have no idea what SUA is. Most students don't realize the resources they have for SUA, and most students don't want to engage because we've given up on our student government. It's not a very effective body anymore. And I think that we need to bring it back to collaborating with students and reconnecting with all student organizations. SUA was born within the big 5 organizations of SOAR. And we need to bring it back to that because those people used to basically be SUA and they've been pushed out of that space. And I think that it's just kind of a major issue that we aren't publicizing SUA, and I'd love to see more things happening that actually directly benefit the students and then they're able to see it. I'd love to have a live Twitter feed so students can always be updated on their SUA meetings as they're happening, because every single year they're promised that SUA meetings are going to be live streamed and they never are, but honestly students aren't going to watch that anyway. I think that we need to focus on making things more accessible so that way students can just view things online and see it as a summary and actually get our faces out there.
Accessibility has been an issue within the SUA. How to plan to make students more aware and involved with decisions and actions of their student government?
Great, thank you. So, yeah, accessibility definitely is an issue. Students come into our space a lot as guests and don't know just the basic of Robert's rules. And Robert's rules is kind of annoying for those that have been in Student Union Assembly. And I want to be able to use those just to create the safe space and the actual productive space. Just ensuring that students that have already spoken are taking that step back to allow students that haven't to actually put their voice in the space. It's something that we don't even see this year, and it's really upsetting being the person that can't run the meeting and make that change. So that's something that's so easy, just to make the space even more inclusive. But as for like a big solution and how to really address the issue of accessibility at SUA, I've been working on a project all year. It's an SUA fellowship program. It's something that I've been designing throughout the entire year, just by kind of observing how the SUA works, observing what the big issues that we face here at UC Santa Cruz, how SUA, or what are the issues that SUA just faces here at UC Santa Cruz, and that's the general student body. This fellowship program, as a start, I would hope would serve from around 50 to 75 students, and grow upwards towards 250 students, just like UCLA and UC Santa Barbara's fellowship programs. Obviously, that's going to take some money, so I found a different solution. Create a 2-unit class. Who hasn't satisfied their PRG in this room? I'm a 4th year and I haven't satisfied it. Make it a PRGE. Real easy. It is a practice. It's something practical. It's something that we as students can work in. We can learn how to program events. We can learn how to do proper outreach for students, to the student body. These students that are joining this fellowship program, we have the opportunity to learn and tackle the different issues that we face at UC Santa Cruz. This is something that I've worked on. It's doable. I've talked to other administrators and faculty. I have multiple faculty lined up that would be willing to sign the papers for the class to happen. I've been doing the work. I really want this position. Simple as that. Like, there are people in this room that have seen me in the SUA space the past 3 years. I'm looking at one, but not all the time. And they know how much I care. They know how much I care about this, not just the Student Union Assembly, but UC Santa Cruz. Heck, I'm staying a 5th year just to take care of my school. And I really want to show you that with this fellowship program, I'm determined to get students involved. I'm determined to make SUA accessible and a voice for all students. Thank you.
So the accessibility of the space is basically, oh, I'm sorry.
No.
Oh, I'm sorry. The accessibility of the space is basically my campaign, and how students aren't able to access us. They don't know we exist. That's a major issue. The recent survey results came out. Nearly 20% of students on campus don't know what the SUA is, and 67% of people don't know what they do. That's an issue. We can start, but really simple things. It's the simple things that count. Maybe like, I don't know, putting a sign on the door of the room that we're meeting that says this is where the SUA is meeting, so that people who want to come to our meetings don't just sit outside the entire time because they don't know where to go. Maybe actually have a social media page where we can outreach to our students and facilitate actual conversations, so we get some sort of idea of what the students want and how they feel about different issues. We have to start publicizing what we're going to be talking about in meetings other than just publishing an agenda. We have to actually go into people's spaces and discuss with them and say, these are the issues that we're tackling, this is how we're thinking about discussing it. What do you think? How would you like us to approach the situation? I mean, I think we can all just look around the room right now and see that we can't rely on students to go to the SUA and kind of ask them for their help. We have to go to the students and say, what can we do for you? How can we help you? We see that every year when we go and have our elections, and we never get thresholds. It's because the students don't care about us. They don't know we exist, and why should they? We don't do anything for them. And that's the first step, is doing things on behalf of our students, reaching out to them and saying, this is what we can do for you. What would you like us to do next? In addition to the social media work, I'm going to be working on expanding the organizational presence. Right now we do have the Big 5 organizations, but I believe that's not enough. We have to go further. There are a lot of other identities and a lot of other diversity groups on campus that represent a lot of other students. And we need to start by creating another committee actually right now. There's another committee that has all the different student groups on campus from all different aspects of life that can come together and amongst themselves discuss what's going on, collaborate with one another, facilitate improvement that way. And then also come in and have a direct vote in SUA, so that they can come in. They're not reliant on like petitioning college reps or officers to advocate on their behalf. They already have a direct entry path into the space, so that they can come in and say, this is the stuff that we need from the SUA. This is how you can help us with our campaigns, and this is how we can help the SUA with the campaigns that it's carrying out itself. Thank you.
So I absolutely agree. We need to be going into spaces and soliciting communication, because communication between us and the student body has been completely lost. And we need to start working on building coalitions to reconnect this entire student body, because there are a lot of different groups on campus and a lot of different identities, and we need to make sure that there's a space for them within SUA. As a student who has been to a few SUA meetings, people don't even recognize me when I come up and I'm like, oh yeah, I'm running for a chair. And it's definitely been a major issue, because this is contributing to all of the issues of accessibility. Nobody knows that SUA officers have office hours. Nobody knows that what they even do. Nobody knows anything. And I think that we need to be going into these spaces and just promoting ourselves and making sure that we are welcome and inclusive of all students. Because I know too many students who have been leaving SUA because it's not an inclusive space right now.
We have 1 minute for a closing statement. Brad, no start?
Are we not doing the audience questions? Or is
We'll
that
have afterwards.
Oh, jeez. 1 minute for closing statement?
Yep.
Sweet. So, like I said before, I've worked endlessly in SUA, whether it was to make it a better space or just outreaching in general. I do want to bring up the point that we as officers can only do so much. We're students. We are. We have schedules, 20 units a quarter sometimes. And it's hard to balance, it really is. But it's a part of the college life, is learning how to balance everything that gets thrown at us. And that's something that I take into realistic thought. But one of the things I did do this year that I believe no other officer has really even attempted to do is just go out to the Corey Plaza with the rest of the student organizations and table. And just talk to students. Not about anything, not promoting events, not doing anything, just talking to students about what the Student Union Assembly is, what it does, what issues are affecting. I want to thank Alexander Casper for an incredible idea of just creating this amazing board and getting students' opinions on actually what affects them.
So, I'd like to thank everybody for coming out tonight. We'll get to the audience questions in a bit. But the issue that we're having right now, I'm going to stress on it again, is that we're not going out and we're not getting the support from our own student body. Now, I've been trying to push these campaigns for the last 2 years that I've been in SUA, and I feel like every time I've been bringing them up, I've been shut down. I've been told that, oh, that's not a priority for us right now, we need to put our money elsewhere, or that, oh, we just don't have time to help you out with that right now. And that's actually the reason why I'm running for chair. It's not so that, oh, I can be empowered, so that I actually have the ability to tell people and say, okay, these are the campaigns that are important to the students, this is what we should work on. I have the power to bring the officers together and say, instead of, fighting amongst yourselves and trying to do your own individual campaigns, let's come together for a second and let's work together to ramp up production on things that we can all do together. And thank you.
Thank you.
So I feel like one of the primary issues with SUA right now is that it keeps trying to recreate things that other organizations are already doing. There are a lot of organizations on this campus, and so many of them do so much incredible work. And SUA has become a funding body, and I feel like we need to build coalitions and work together. Because I want to be very clear, there are 17,000 of us, and there is no limit to what we can do. We are, individually, as different communities, we are a force, but together, we are a movement, and we will not stop. So I think that we really need to focus on rebuilding the entire connection with the community, so that we just keep going, and we force administration to actually answer to us. Because I definitely feel like this is a major issue that SUA has not addressed. I feel like they are working for the administration. And we should be working for the students and promoting the student voice. Because there's too much happening on this campus that is going unaddressed. We have hate crimes, sexual assault, and all of these other issues, and they're being proposed to be fixed with Band-Aids and just...
We'll be doing audience questions. We're taking a 5-minute break. Nima and Dante will be at each side of the room if you'd like to pose questions to them. And we'll start in 5 minutes. They'll write them down. No, come and talk to them on the side of the room. They'll be on each side. I'm going to go to take them. We're going to put them first.
How many chairs?
What?
Yeah, that's, I think right before, I was like, Aaron, how much time do we have before it starts? It's like 3 minutes. It's like, I'm gonna go. It's fine.
Please, apple juice. You guys have time?
That last one was solid.
What?
I was like, shit, that was a lot better than
You're lying, you're here first year transfer.
No, I'm a college student.
He's not a first year. Do you believe
I was so close. I was like, what? Yeah, you're my sucked.
The first year.
No.
I know it's his first year, yeah. He's actually like the third year.
How does that burn? I'll show you my ID that I don't have on me. Weeks and
Sorry for calling you out on it. Right on the credits. It looked like you were asleep. I was like, I wasn't sure how it was gonna work.
I'm tired. I'm trying to sing.
Oh.
Hey Selena, how many are watching now?
10. There's 16 at one point.
Does my voice sound crazy?
What?
Did you guys?
That's had.
I don't agree with my voice sound.
I think it's on.
If you guys,
You sound great.
so you sure you don't get my camera.
You're not.
Wait, we just previewed.
Oh. So when I raised the volume, I didn't actually raise the volume. It was better.
I just wish you knew that.
Where?
question. What do you think of Measure 62? Is UCSC's future in athletics? And we'll start with Brad.
That's philosophical question there. Measure 62. Wasn't expecting that one. So, you know, I think every student should have the ability to place a referendum on the ballot. So having Measure 61, 62, and 63, I think it's essential. It actually allows us to start these conversations about, are athletics important? Is LSS important to us? Is, you know, access for all important to us? It makes us really talk about these issues with students. As for Measure 62, it's a lot of money. I'm not gonna lie, $117 per quarter, it's pretty scary. It's over $350 a year. If that goes on top of tuition, you're reaching about $1,000. But as to answer just, is UCSC's future, or what is it, future in athletics? Yeah. I think athletics is one aspect of student life, out of many. I think athletics are important to have on this campus. I was actually a member of the men's for a solid 3 months, and then for a solid 3 months because of school reasons. I had to focus on academics, simple as that. But they have, shown a lot of they have shown a lot of strides in the fact that students can balance their academics and athletics. I think it brings school pride to this campus. I love going to the basketball games down at the Kaiser Hermann Center now that we have it. It's actually really fun when we have a packed house and we're cheering on our team. Sammy the Slugs there, twerking basically and doing the worm. It's really fun just to see students relaxing and enjoying their time around each other and cheering for our university. That's something that I really just love seeing. So, you know what? Athletics should be in the future of UCSC, and that's all I'm going to say.
Next. Yeah. What is 30 seconds or 3 seconds?
2 minutes. So you have 2 minutes.
What's your 3 that golden out?
30 seconds.
Oh, okay. Okay, so athletics is something that I find really interesting on this campus because it's always coming down to a funding issue. NCAA needs a lot of funding, and that's just how it is. But I think that we need to address it on an issue that's not just funding, but on an organizational level. Why aren't students engaging in our sports? People aren't going to games very often. People aren't supporting our sports, and that is something that could be creating a lot of campus pride and a lot of campus unity. But it's such a small division of students that I feel like this is too much money to be asking from us right now. We're facing tuition hikes, and that is something that is going to make students not want to pay any money at all to the university. So I feel like we need to be focusing on fixing the organizational aspects of why students aren't engaging in athletics and why so many students are against this fee before we start talking about how to fund it. Because we don't even really have many facilities on campus to host these. So I feel like those are the conversations we need to have before we actually have the conversation about spending $350 per student per year on all these NCAA sports.
Oh, Measure 62. Gosh. I'm going to be voting no on it. Simple reason, I can't afford the money. I can't afford to pay that much money a quarter for this, or anything really. And I think based on discussions with other students, a lot of people feel a similar way, and that it's a lot of money. Ideally, in an ideal world, we wouldn't have to pay this money in the first place. This would be something that would have been fronted by our school, as in athletic services are something the school provides its students as another outlet for them to participate in the school culture itself. We shouldn't be having to pay for this ourselves. That's just, I've been through that. I played high school in football, believe it or not. I did, I promise you. I've got pictures. They're not good pictures, but I have them. We had to pay for all our gear ourselves, and it sucked. And I'm seeing the same thing here at university, and it's really embarrassing because we should be able to provide all this stuff for our students. And the question was, is athletics the future of UCSC? I don't see why it has to be the future. Just one more thing that we're really good at. We're already number one in the world for research impact. Nobody's going to take our academic success away from us. Our success in terms of, in the eyes of our peers, is only going to increase over time. if we can get the money for it, not from our students, but if we can get administration to use the money we know they have to support us in the things that we want, I don't see why we can't just add something else that we're good at too.
Our second question from the audience is, what are your thoughts regarding the demonstration and arrests made at LegCon this year, and how direct action works as an advocacy method? And Julie's first up on that.
I think direct action is something that we really need to be promoting on this campus because it's something that's been in the past. But I do think that it needs to be something that's discussed on a more collaborative effort between all students, because not everyone has agreed with all the direct action that happens on this campus, and not everyone is contributing to the conversation, but everyone is critiquing it. So I think that we need to bring it together and build coalitions that help to promote direct action, but in a way that is very effective and collaborative and representative of all student voices.
So, for those of y'all who don't, for those of y'all, I keep getting distracted by these guys in the audience. For those of y'all who don't know, LegCon is a legislative conference hosted by the United States Student Association. It's held every year in Washington, D.C. The action this year was performed in collaboration with all members of USSA, which are numerous UC campuses, as well as schools from all across the country. I, for one, am really proud of the people who represented us. Our own external vice chair and members of our external office who went up there put really their freedom and their safety on the line to let legislators know in the heart of our nation's capital that these issues are near and dear to us. And we should, I mean, honestly, we should be taking that same zest and zeal that we show outside and bring it to our own campus and do the same things here. Because if we can get a handful of students in Washington, D.C. to get on the front page of news and to get conversation going over there, imagine what 17,000 students here on campus could do if we were all involved in some collaborative movement to really get our voices out on there. That's all.
So I don't want to try to I don't want to be repetitive because they all said kind of what I was thinking. The action that happened at LegCon I look at as a successful action. Something that when students saw it on the official UCSC page on Facebook, we're like, damn, I'm really proud that my UBC stepped up her game and did that and sat there and didn't move. She stopped there. and that was something that, knowing how my brain works, I don't know if I would have been brave enough to do that at that conference. I don't know. And to have people like Luis that were willing to take that risk, knowing that she's an RA and she's an officer at this university, that was something that was inspiring. It made me think, her and I have very similar positions. I'm an RA as well, and it made me think that, I can be that student representative for our university that takes a stance, that takes a stand for our school and for our tuition and for our Pell Grants and the things that they were fighting for on that day. So honestly, when I saw that on the news, I was proud to be a Banana Slug. I was proud to be a UC student. I was proud to be a university student, and I supported all the way.
There a question from the audience? Do you think it's worth organizing large-scale events even when they end 50 to 100,000 in the negative? We're gonna start with Shep.
It's a loaded question. Well, twofold. First answer, no. Fiscal responsibility is one of the most important traits you can have when you're running a student organization when you barely have any money to spare in the first place. I believe that we need to be more responsible with our budget, and we can't really, I know we have ambitions. We want to say we want to have concerts every month, we want to go out and do this, we want to have festivals coming out everywhere. We can't afford to do that. We have to be smart with how we spend our money. We need to be able to maximize the impact that we can have with each dollar and say, what's the maximum value that we can get? What's the most amount of change and impact that we can get on each individual student from their student fees, seeing that we don't have a massive budget to do these things. That being said, I don't think you need to spend outrageous amounts of money to have massive events around campus. We don't need to have a huge music festival all the time to make people come out and have some sense of community. Obviously, if we can, that's awesome. But I'm thinking about things that work more along the lines of adding to the actual academic value and experience at UC Santa Cruz. I'm talking about maybe having our own conferences series, workshops, panel discussions that bring in speakers, reputed speakers, and world experts from around the world from different industries to come in and talk to students and share their values and opinions. And that's just one way that we can bring students out of their own respective colleges and together to meet new people, interact with new people, learn new worldviews. That doesn't require so much money. We just need to be smarter with how we spend it.
Do you think it's worth organizing large-scale events even when they end 50 to 100,000 in the negative?
So, I'll reiterate, it's a loaded question. No, definitely not. But I do have some things to say about this. So this question is clearly about education. And though a lot of students will look at the numbers, the red, I want to look at the positives of the event. You know, yes, it was irresponsible spending, and I want to make sure that that doesn't happen again. But at the same time, that event brought 4,000 students together. 4,000 students together. I don't see any other event besides Holy Fest bringing 4,000 students together on this university. So yes, campus-wide events are important. Bringing this, our segregated campus, how divided we are just geographically together in some form, whether it's a large-scale event or a small-scale event, the fact that it's campus-wide and bringing students together to have a good time and for us to interact, I think is beautiful. Honestly, we should have more. But yeah, responsible spending is a part of that. I'm actually on the planning committee for EduVita to bring it back, and we've already been talking about this, how SUA will not irresponsibly spend their budget again. We won't have a corrupt chair in the space to move money around, because F that. And honestly, like, I'm ready. Like, I want to bring that concept back and have the students gathered together. I want students to have fun on this campus. Like, let's be real. It's great to, you know, have academic excellence and to be a student and have all these educational events, but it's also good just to relax and be a human and like enjoy our freaking lives. Like straight up, like that's what frustrates me so much is people question why we have concerts, and it's just so that we can like live. It's to have this adrenaline. It's to have this like love of. It's not so much to educate. It's just to live, and that's all I have to say.
So I'd like to bring up, you did just mention nearly 4,000 students did attend that concert, but I'd like to point out those are the students who could afford the ticket for that concert. And there are students on this campus who are skipping meals and who can't afford to spend money on a concert ticket like that. So I think that we need to prioritize and make sure that the students' needs are being addressed before we bring in issues of giant unity concerts. That being said, I do feel like large events do promote a lot of campus unity, and I think that we need those on this campus, but I think that they can be done in a much smaller scale that still promotes major unity on campus. We're doing things like multicultural fair, we have the UCSC Earth Summit, we have all these amazing conferences and events that are already happening. SUA should just collaborate and amplify those events. And I'd also like to point out, the largest event we have and the event that brings the most campus unity is 420. And we don't even sponsor that. So that costs us nothing to do. So I think that we can definitely bring things down and make sure that we are having really rad events that don't cost us that much money.
Yeah, that's it.
Oh,
sorry. So thank you all for coming out tonight. Is the end of the debate. What? Two more questions? That's all. That's all we're taking for tonight.
Thank you.
I'm sorry. Well, tonight? Yeah, at 11:59 p.m. Make sure I don't know how to vote. But thank you all. And the candidates, this is all great.